Hi,
So
Sahil.
we've got our first viewer here. So welcome to the weekly edition of the IPL. We're going to be reviewing teams from
Alright, Sahil's coming in as well.
yeah. So we got some viewers. Welcome, guys. Every Monday we're going to be doing a weekly review of IPL.
And
So
look at there, the main man, Sahil.
our cricket expert.
Hi, Zik. How are you? Hi, Sumrit. Good to have you guys back again. Hope everything's good at your
All
end.
good. Good.
After yesterday wasn't good, but so far so good, you know?
Must
We'll
be a
get
hard
into
time to
that.
be a Punjab fan.
Exactly. Zik, you were continuing with the presentation. You were talking about what we're going to do in this live session. So I'll let you begin with that.
Yeah, so every week, starting from this week, we're going to be talking about the IPL. Every Monday, we're going to be doing a week review. So we're going to start with this first week. So it's been a crazy week for the IPL. What's your perspective of the IPL?
The more I watch, the more crazy it's getting. Like after Punjab, because I'm a Punjab fan, like supporting Punjab, they played really well against RCB. They destroyed them. But after that, how they actually got 5 6s off Potter, one of the best players in T20 format, it surprised me. Like really, like I don't know what's going on. But it's also good to see how like domestic players are actually picking the form. So that's where I see really is not that.
Well, absolutely. And, that's one thing that's for sure with cricket is that you can't predict anything. No matter how much we try to predict that this might happen or these teams might perform. We had our SWOT analysis, we had our predictions, they might come into the top 4. But after the first week, one thing is sure that all these predictions, nothing's going to come true. No matter how much cricket you've played, no matter how less cricket you have played, whatever is to happen will happen on the given day. And that's exactly what happened last night. I mean, each and every commentator was criticizing Rahul Tewatia that why has he been promoted up the order. He was 8 runs from 19 balls, and all of a sudden he ended up scoring 45 from the next 12 deliveries. So and with 5 sixes in 1 over to Sheldon Cottrell. So you can't predict with cricket, and that's exactly how the first week of this season has been so far.
I actually think who really helped was Sanju Samson, because he was like, don't move, stay right there, let me hit it. He got out like really next ball, but then he actually got into form. He's just hitting them. I was surprised, like I was watching it live, and as a diehard fan, I was like, how did that happen?
Yeah. And I mean, who would have thought Delhi Capitals would be the #1 team right now on the table? I didn't predict this.
Well, I'm very happy with how Rajasthan Royal are performing. I mean, without the presence of Ben Stokes, everyone thought that Rajasthan might not make it to the top 4. But in the first 2 games, they didn't need Ben Stokes. Even Joss Butler hasn't performed. He wasn't available in the first game. In the second game, he failed. But just with the presence of Steve Smith, Sanju Samson, their bowlers, Jofra Archer, he's been hitting 6s at will. He's coming out to bat at 8, 9, hitting 6s, and then he's bowling those spells. So very impressed with Delhi Capitals, of course. Yes, both these teams, Rajasthan Royals and Delhi Capitals, haven't been defeated yet. 100% win record for these 2 teams, table toppers being Delhi Capitals. But it's just probably if one started the tournament, these 2 teams were not in the top 4. And at the same time, Chennai Super Kings. What do you guys have to say about Chennai Super Kings?
Chennai, it's sad to see, man. Like it's sad to see how Dhoni is like not really playing up to his potential, and he's not actually doing well. It's surprising. I mean, Rayudu got injured, it's totally fine, but I didn't expect them to lose that many in the first 3 matches. That just surprised me. What do you think?
I mean, to be honest, it's really sad to see. I was actually favoriting CSK quite a lot. But to be honest, I think they might make a comeback. You never know.
I think they're playing against SRH on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Sunrise Hyderabad. That might be an interesting match.
It's a nice break for them, because all of a sudden, before the tournament started, they didn't have the services of Harbhajan Singh, Suresh Raina, a lot of controversy, a lot of questions here and there. And then once the tournament started, Ambati Raidu is injured, Dwayne Bravo is not available. So a lot of things happening in the squad. They're not able to find the right combination, I feel, especially with the fact that the opening partnership between Murali Vijay and Shane Watson, that's been a big question mark for CSK, because they're leaving it too late for the middle order batsmen in the form of Dhoni or their pinch hitters like Jadeja or Sam Curran to come and score those runs. You can't chase 100 odd runs in the last 7 every time. I mean, yes, we saw yesterday that Rajasthan were successful in doing so, but as a team in such a tournament, you wouldn't want to keep 100 runs in the last 7 overs, and that too with on the basis of just a couple of players who haven't played in the last 6 or 10 months, maybe. So that's something that hasn't worked in CSK's favor because they have kind of focused more on their senior members, and with those senior members not being there, there's no Raidu, there's no Raina, there's no Bravo. There's a lot of pressure on the openers, and Muldi Vijay himself hasn't performed at all. As a result, you can see there's no pressure on Faf du Plessis and Shane Watson. So the core is something that the CSK team would probably think about, and it's a good time that they have a 10-day break. So now they will be playing probably with the services of Raidu back in the team, and they would have to try different combinations. So you can't obviously pinpoint that after first week these teams might not make it to the top four. But yes, it's going to be tough. The teams have to be consistent if they have to make it to the top four. However, if you're just giving a roundup of as to how the first week has been, Delhi Capitals exceptional as we discussed. Rajasthan Royals superb. Coming back to Kings 11 Punjab, what do you have to say? Because Kings 11 Punjab, they have scored 2 centuries, and highest wicket taker is from Kings 11 Punjab, Mohammad Shami, 7 wickets. Most runs scored by a Kings 11 Punjab batsman, KL Rahul 222, Mayank Agarwal 221, 2 centuries with them. One game was a tie, which they should have. And then, so Punjab supporters, what do you have to say about them? So close yet so far.
I think it's more like individual performing as more than a collective effort right now in terms of Punjab. Like if you see the death over, like who would expect a Cottrell? Like who would actually expect to he's actually a good death over, like Cottrell. Like he's performed really well for West Indies T20 format, but for seeing him like getting kind of destroyed with that. And at the same time, the other bowler like Shami is also performing really well, but even he got hit at like few boundaries. So it's surprising, but definitely Ravi Bishnoi, that guy's like really good surprising pick right now. He did well yesterday. He kept it economical than the rest of the bowlers. But I think they need to step up in the final 5 overs because yesterday the run chase was the highest in IPL tournament in this 12 years. Like no one would have actually imagined that. But I mean, let's see what happens with Punjab like next match. Who are playing next match? Are they playing with Rajasthan? Who are they playing next one?
Punjab?
Yeah, Kings 11.
Punjab is playing against. They are playing.
All right.
We'll check as to who they are playing against.
They're playing against Mumbai against on Thursday.
Mumbai is going to be playing RCB today. RCB again, they started off the campaign with a win, and all of a sudden against Punjab, they were decimated by KL Rahul with that century, dropped catches from Kohli. So all the teams are in that mix where they've been rusty. It's evident that they haven't played cricket for a long period of time, but at the same time, you would expect that in a crucial tournament like this, you would want early wins under your belt rather than struggling to get those consecutive wins at the end where you want to win 4 out of 4 to qualify. So both Mumbai and Bangalore today also, if they step out, both Kohli and Rohit Sharma, that's going to be an epic battle between themselves. Yeah, but they would want to get those 2 points rather than having those defeats and progressing further with the thought that they now have to win consecutive matches. So it's going to be interesting for all the teams, especially with the competition being so intense. Only 4 teams can make it to the playoffs, and you've seen that the point difference between the top team and the bottom team right now is just 2 games because Delhi and Rajasthan have 4 points. Rest, all the teams have 2 points except Hyderabad, who haven't won a single match. What has gone wrong there according to you guys?
I mean, to be honest, their middle order is very weak. I mean, once their first 2 batsmen are gone, their whole team collapsed. I remember the first game they played, they lost 8 wickets and 30-something runs almost,
right?
Which is not good at all.
I think they're missing out Kane Williamson right now.
Kane Williamson, exactly. I was about to bring that question. The middle order, yes, it's been uncertain because that's something that we discussed in the SWOT analysis as well. And after Johnny Bairstow, after David Warner, who is the one who can handle the innings for Sunrisers Hyderabad? There was some resistance from Manish Pandey, but then the inexperienced youngsters in the form of Indian players like Priyam Garg, Vijay Shankar, all these are question mark at the moment because they are not contributing. They tried to get in Saha, but why is Kane Williamson not playing is a question probably a lot of people would be asking.
Yeah,
I think they also need Nabi in the team.
I mean,
Nabi
played last game, but they put him on too late. I mean, this guy's a good difference maker, and he's an all-rounder as well. But I think they put him in quite late last game. But with the addition of Kane Williamson, You never know. Maybe their luck changes.
But even Rashid Khan, like you would imagine Rashid Khan would hit some sixes as we see in DPL and CPL, right? He does hit boundaries. But I don't think he's performed really well recently in these 2 matches.
Well, they have to figure out something because at the moment they're at the bottom of the table, and if they are to make any progress in this tournament, they have to register those wins. We just gave a sum up. All those who have joined us now can feel free to share which team they are supporting. We will reveal our team soon in case those people who don't know about our likings. But at the same time, we've just kind of given a recap as to how the teams have performed in the first week of the IPL. Going ahead, if you talk about key players so far, what do you have to say about the youngsters who have been performing in the tournament? There is Devdutt Padikkal from RCB who was exceptional in the first game. Shubman Gill, yes, he has been there in the scenario for some time, but being consistent at an age of 21 is something that a lot of selectors probably would look at into. There's Ravi Bishnoi, as Sumrit mentioned earlier. He's also impressed. Who are the other youngsters that you think have made a mark so far?
So far, we know Khalid Ahmed, he played for India. He performed all right in last match, but it's going to take him some time. And Chennai is, what's his name? Gadwik Ratuja? The youngster that's playing really well.
Rituja Gaikwad. He didn't perform.
I think he might get the emerging one. He might get it.
That's one player I'm watching out for as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, he hasn't been consistent in the first 2 chances that he has gotten out because of the situation, because of the pressure. But we'll have to see as to how they use him in the matches going ahead. Whether he gets more opportunities or not is something that we'll have to see, because Yashasi Jaiswal was dropped after 1 game. He played for Rajasthan. That's another player that I'm looking out for when we talk about the upcoming talent. But he was dropped after 1 poor performance because of the team combination. They weren't able to get the right team combination, and that's why they thought, now that Joss Butler is back, we don't want Jaiswal to play in this position. So we'll have to see as to what kind of opportunities these youngsters get. But one man for sure who will get more opportunities is Devdutt Padikkal from RCB. Ravi Bishnoi, these 2 will be sure. Nagarkoti got his first game this season. He also impressed to some extent in the sense that very fit, very athletic on the field, and these youngsters can bowl up to 140, 145. So for Indian bowling, to have bowlers who are in their early 20s and bowl around 145, 148 is something that is quite impressive how IPL is functioning right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, other than that, right? Like, the younger team receives the Telugu Capital. Like, they're the younger team, right? They have, like, good
Prithvi Shaw also performed very well.
Like, but we also know, like, they're already there. Like, those young ones, like, already play for India, they're already in Delhi Capital. Except from Patrikar, I think we need more youngsters step up, actually. Because actually, the first week, I don't think that many youngsters actually got the opportunity to show. Especially in, like, Chennai's only 1 player, right?
Yeah.
So I think they need to step out. And Kings 11, they are almost 11 uncapped players. 11 uncapped players, but they only gave opportunity to 1 of them so far. So I think they might need to, towards the middle of the stage of the IPL, they need to give some chances and opportunity to the young ones.
I think there are a lot of young players just waiting to get put on the pitch so they can do something good. So you never know.
Especially Ishan Porel from Punjab. I think he should give it a game as well, because I've seen it.
Ishan Porel, the fast bowler who is the ranks of Punjab. Actually, that might come into contention if they want to play another all-rounder in the form of. Right now, they're using Jimmy Neesham, but if they don't want to use Jimmy Neesham, if they want to go ahead with another batsman like Chris Gayle at the outset, and then they want to strengthen their bowling attack, then probably you'll see Ishan Porel coming in, or one of the pacers being rested. As the tournament progresses, there will be more assistance to spinners. The pitches will get slow, there will be more turn. So then you will see those uncapped Indian bowlers or Indian spinners coming to play rather than the pacers right now, because Shami and Cottrell have done wonderfully well for Punjab. All of them have picked up wickets. Shami has 7, Cottrell has 5, Bishnoi has 4. It's just that Punjab is doing all the hard work, but they're not able to close with those 2 points. That's what I feel.
But actually, I'm actually really eager to see Sarfraz Khan, because I remember in RCB day, he hit sixes. I mean, yesterday he got a good catch as well. The deep cover is really nice. Actually, I'm actually excited to see him, Sarfraz, to come in and play, but he's kind of down the order. And that's and they never collected that level that they need him yet. I hope not, but I really want to see him back.
I actually really miss watching Chris Gayle.
Oh yeah, man.
Chris Gayle, there's like a really big boy. There's a lot of players missing right now. Kane Williamson, Chris Gayle. There's a lot of players. Yeah.
But what are the reasons?
Some might be injuries. Chris Gale, I saw him yesterday.
It's a combination right now because Mayank Agarwal has been doing really well. KL Rahul, obviously the opening batsman, you wouldn't want to replace him. Mayank Agarwal has absolutely justified his place. He scored 80 odd runs in the first game. He had a bad game in the second outing, but then a century yesterday. So you wouldn't want to chop and change with the players who are performing. Even if he's in the playing 11 and if he's brought down to 1-0, probably his confidence might not work. And the reason why they're not, the main reason that I feel that they're not using Gale right now is because Nicholas Pooran has been very sound in terms of the power hitting in the middle order, especially in the Caribbean Premier League. So they want to use him in the middle order along with Glenn Maxwell rather than have another opening batsman when they already have KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal. As the tournament progresses, the pitches get slower. Probably against spinners, you will see Gale being given that preference. And
but if you see one thing, if you look at like the table bottom, right, like basically Sunrisers Hyderabad, they have a good team composure, you know. But if you think about it, they're not really letting the youngster step up yet. I think maybe there's one of the reasons, or maybe one of the factors that are affecting them right now, because there are like few players who actually perform well domestic. There is Sanjay Yadav. Sanjay Yadav played alright. He's a good, I think, a bowler, right?
Yeah.
And then we have Abhishek Sharma is playing well, a good all-rounder, and Sandeep Bhawanaka. Because you see they have a big team. Even Basil Thampi, he performed really well last year as a bowling department. So I think maybe for Sunrisers they're missing that part. What do you think?
the problem that I feel with Sunrisers Hyderabad at the moment is that obviously they are heavily reliant on those 4-5 pillars. Every season, it's the same thing. You have Vishwar Kumar, you have your Rashid Khan, then there is David Warner, and then obviously Jimmy Bairstow. That's the crux of the team. And when the crux is performing, obviously these issues are hidden because the wins are there, the 2 points are on the board. No one talks about these things. But if you look deeper in the last couple of years, the composition of Sunrisers Hyderabad, this problem has always been there. Apart from Manish Pandey being there in the middle order, yes, 2-3 seasons back when Owen Morgan was there was some strengthening in the middle order. There was Shakib Al Hassan, there was Yusuf Pathan. So no one questioned their middle order then. It was a comprehensive unit. Right now, because they've lost both the games, all of a sudden, those individual performances have taken a back seat and people are asking as to what is happening. Like, where are the youngsters? Why are they not performing? Hyderabad have been more focused towards their bowling. That's what I feel. They've been a bowling team rather than a batting team. For the batting part, it's just been 3-4 overseas players or a couple of Indian players who stood up. And it's the bowling by Rashid Khan, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Basil Thampi, although he's not playing in this season, but other bowlers like Khalid Ahmed, and they have stood up for them and they have performed. However, pitches are different, situation is different, so they're also getting acclimatized, and that's where I think they are missing out on key pointers, and that middle order is being exposed because they're not able to fill that position with someone. The same thing is happening with Chennai Super Kings. That's why these two teams are not registering those wins. What I strongly feel is that the team that has the strongest middle order is someone to look out for. Delhi Capitals is not faltering right now because of the middle order. You look at their middle order, you compare Delhi Capitals middle order with Chennai Super Kings middle order, or probably like SRH, you will be like, okay, there are question marks, uncertainties. Even for Kingsland and Punjab, I would say that, because we've seen in the past that once their middle order is exposed, like what happened against Delhi Capitals in that game was their middle order was exposed and they couldn't even chase down like 158, 160 odd runs. They needed 1 run from the last 3 deliveries and they were not able to get that. So the teams that have a strong top and at the same time are heavily reliant on their bowlers is something, then it depends on the days, because T20 is a form of cricket where if one player is performing, he can just take away the game from you. But if you have a strong, stable middle order, most of the teams end up performing well rather than end up being in a situation where CSK or an SRH are probably right now. And I think that's the discussion that the team management would be having with the playing 11, that this is the playing 11, these are your roles. We want everyone to know what your job is, what do you have to do, and you have to execute those roles. So that execution is missing right now. That's why these teams probably are faltering. But it's just the first week. It's a long...
Exactly. So much more to see.
We never know. There's watching.
Until the last game itself, you won't probably get to know who are in the top 4. So hopefully there will be interesting games coming ahead next week. And talking about that, who do you think would be performing well in the coming week?
Coming week, I really want I want like 400 from that, because if you see like how he performed yesterday, that catch and his cameo and after like the last over, like you would expect like the first match he got a golden duck, second match he got like 11-12 runs, but yesterday he had 25 runs in 8 balls. I really want him to perform well. At the same time, want MS Dhoni, like he has to come back up the order. I don't think Sankar is a solution, but it's definitely not a solution. Chennai needs right now. We need a captain to step up.
Yeah.
For right now. And I feel like Shivam Amavi from KKR, he performed not bad. Actually, 2 men got 2 wickets. It's more like a bowling all-rounder, right? So I think like he might get it back. I think he's getting used to it. And definitely Rahul Tawadia, that guy, man.
You probably hate him.
Like, he's playing a test match. The beginning of that, I think he might reach some orange cap or maybe the best all-rounder because he can bowl as well. His spin is actually pretty good now.
I think that would be too far. I think it was just one game wonder. Yes, you will see those cameos. You will see those consistent performances from Rahul Tewatia and other all-rounders, Indian all-rounders. But I think orange cap or a purple cap is way too far. I know it's hurting you because MVP. MVP he must have gotten for that game. Yeah, but I don't think he will get that for the tournament. There are a lot of other overseas players also contesting for that coveted position, but yes, as you said, all you need is one player to perform on a day and he can turn the table, and that's what he completely did yesterday. And hopefully for Punjab's sake that they won't get they will be able to pull off those 2 points. They are playing, I think, KKR this week. One of their games is KKR.
I think it's going to get better.
KKR is against the 2 top teams in the table.
I think they might win.
No, I think KKR is playing not Punjab this week. They are playing Delhi Capitals and Rajasthan.
Yeah.
Both top teams.
I think they will pick it back up.
I think it's going to be a tough week. Sorry, Sahil.
No, they're getting ready, man. They're getting better.
I mean,
They're getting better. You can see like how they performed last match.
It's the captaincy. The captaincy is a big question. That's something that everyone knows. That's something that everyone knows. Even
they might be able to beat Delhi Capitals this week. You never know. But Rajasthan Royals, the form they're in right now,
the only thing that might not work in Rajasthan's favor is that the first 2 games that they have played, they played at Sharjah. The ground was small. That's why they were able to score 200 runs. Even missed time shots were going for 6s. Odd boundaries, 60-meter odd boundaries. So now they will be moving to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Different conditions, pitches tend to slow up. So that might be a factor. But yes, obviously, you have to step out of the field. You have to execute your skills. So nothing taken away from Rajasthan. But Kolkata, when they face them, they will have this in mind that it's a different dynamics, it's a different ground, and probably we'll try to use our previous experience or previous match results against them as a psychological advantage rather than the form that they are in, because as you said, Delhi Capitals and Rajasthan Royals have been in this form, and if they continue this way, then it will be very easy for other teams, because we know that these are the teams that are qualifying and these are the teams that are not qualifying. So let's see how it unfolds for Kolkata Knight Riders.
And this week Sunrisers Hyderabad has 3 games, and to be honest, if they don't make a change, if they don't get better, I see them continuing being the bottom team, because like they have like 3 very tough games this week. They have against CSK, they have another game against Delhi Capitals, and they have another game against Mumbai Indians. 3 very good teams right now as well. Mumbai Indians is not very consistent though.
I feel they're still like getting the team right. But what really surprised me, right, is probably your favorite team, RCB. Because if you look at RCB, they have Goldie, they have De Villiers, they have Aaron Finch. 3 captains, man. There's 3 different captains, the same team.
Yeah.
That's the story with RCB every season. That's the story with RCB every season. They had Yale one season. They had Shane Watson one season. They've had everyone. You name the biggest player in this tournament in terms of batting, and they have been a part of RCB. Yuvraj Singh. I mean, they've had the best of best players at their best of the times, but again, they haven't performed together as a unit. However, this season seems to be different. At least that's what it felt like at the first game. We can obviously say that in the second game against Punjab, there was an off day for them. Everyone can have an off day. But Kohli looks more determined in terms of his captainship, in terms of what his playing 11 would be. We haven't seen any massive changes so far. The problem why RCB have struggled in the past is that they keep changing and chopping their playing 11, but they stuck with their playing 11 after the first game. So we'll have to see as to what happens today against Mumbai. If you see 3-4 changes again happening in the RCB lineup, then it's going to be another repeat of what we've been seeing with RCB. Because one loss and Kohli starts changing, chopping, and everything is haywire. So probably an RCB fan, you would have thought that you're not playing in Chinnaswamy anymore, so you wouldn't have to score or chase 200 excess every time or defend it.
Yeah.
But that's what happened against Punjab, because they dropped catches, the death bowling was pathetic. They gave away 60 odd runs. I think KL Rao scored 60 odd runs in the last 3 overs.
Last 3 overs, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy. I think one mistake that RCB is doing is because I did not call them. It's probably George Phillip. I think the team selection, they're not doing a really good job for RCB, because rather than like George Phillip is alright, he played really well in BPL. I don't think like he should be.
Moeen Ali would be a better option. You want to say that he's a better tested player. He could contribute with the spin as well. And if you want someone to keep wickets, you already have De Villiers in your team. Wickets. So yeah, it makes sense to me as well that you could play another all-rounder rather than having another aggressive hitting batsman. And I think that's where KKR learned from their mistakes. It did work in their favour in the second game, where they didn't play another batsman in the form of Nikhil Naik. They opted for another bowler, Varun Chakravarti, and that gave Dinesh Karthik so many options. By the end of the game, he used 7 bowlers rather than using his 4 or 5 bowlers and then asking someone else to bowl. So if that's the strategy that other teams also imply, because RCB, they're using 8 batsmen, 6 proper batsmen, and then they have their batting all-rounders. If your 6 batsmen are not scoring, definitely your 7th or 8th batsman.
They're making 109 runs and all out, then what's the point?
Exactly. So you might as well play. And it's not that Moeen Ali can't bat. Moeen Ali is a proper batsman. He bats for England around that perfect order, 7th, 8th position. And he can bowl those 3 overs for you as well. So yes, I feel that instead of having Joshua Phillip, it would be better to have Moeen Ali. It will give them more stability, strength in terms of the options, the all-rounder options that he has. But then you never know with the team management and the decisions. Probably they've seen something that he's a game changer. A lot of people these days, especially the teams, believe that they want to focus on their game changer, one impact player who could change the complexion of the game. For Delhi Capitals right now, they're focusing on probably Rishabh Pant. Similarly for Punjab, they're focusing on Glenn Maxwell. KKR obviously have Andre Russell. So every team wants that finisher in their position, in the middle order who could change the complexion. That's why maybe they were trying Joshua Phillip, but RCB will have to think about it. Mumbai, on the other hand, in today's encounter, they have everyone probably. I think they bat in 8, 9. They have bowlers who could bowl anytime, any moment of the game. Yeah. It's just that they haven't been that consistent in UAE. Against KKR, it was their first win. After playing 6 games in Dubai, it was their first win. So whether they're able to carry out on that form, we'll have to see.
I think tonight RCB is gonna make an upset. I think they're gonna beat Mumbai Indians. Fingers crossed.
It's gonna be tight, man. Because if you look at Saurabh Tiwari, he actually performed really well. Because I remember we used to like the long hair playing RCB, right? Like you would never expect him to actually play the middle order. But this time he surprised everyone. He's not that bad. Like
there's no Ishan Kishan in the playing 11 right now for Mumbai because they opted for Saurabh Tiwari. So there are a lot of changes happening here and there, and you could see that they're also trying to find the right combination. That's the thing with IPL. Season and season, there's something that you'll see again and again. You'll hear again and again that the team that they find their right combination, their winning combination, has been successful, has been consistent. But in order to find that combination, how much time does it take? Who all are involved, and how many losses do you have to undergo is the biggest challenge. And the most consistent teams, if you look at Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, right now they are not in the top 4. Mumbai is, but apart from Mumbai, Chennai is at 7, it's at 6, KKR is at 5, Hyderabad is at 8. So it's a good season to begin with, where you can see that Delhi Capitals and Rajasthan Royals, teams that were not in the limelight, have suddenly taken the limelight. And if they continue performing this well, then it will be a different tournament altogether as to what we have seen in the past.
Well, actually, I see in Mumbai Indians, right? Because if you see Chris Lane, he's an asset for a team. But by benching him is something surprising. especially over the past few years. He played really well in Australia for the Big Bash. Like, if
The problem
I'm
is,
not saying I'm a selector, but I think
yeah.
Aditya Tare could be the keeper instead of like Connor Dickock and have like Chris Lane. But he can hit. He can open it really well as well.
Yeah, but Chris Lynn hasn't been performing well in the last few seasons, and the pitches are not. Ideally, if they were playing at Wankhede, probably they would have used Chris Lynn because he likes to play the ball that comes to the bat where there is bounce, just like the Australian pitches. But the tournament is happening in Dubai, so here the conditions are totally different. Again, it's slow. The ball will stop on the pitch. There will be uneven bounce, and that's why they're trying to go ahead with Quinton de Kock because of a couple of reasons. A, de Kock is in form. He knows how to pace his innings. Chris Lynn is like a dasher. If he comes off well, good, but he can't pace that loft innings, which probably de Kock can. And the second thing is, the biggest thing is the left-hand right-hand combination. With Quinton de Kock, you get the left-hand right-hand combination with Rohit Sharma, and these two have opened for Mumbai Indians for 3-4 seasons now. So they have a good bond between them. They wouldn't want to change unless Quinton de Kock performs poorly in the next 3-4 games and is not able to get them to a good start. Then you will see Chris Lynn coming in as a replacement for de Kock. But until then, I don't think there will be a chance given to him. He'll most probably be walking the bench for the most part of the tournament.
Right. What do you think about Ishan Kishan being benched right now? Because he was like a baby from Mumbai, India. How they grew him. Have you watched like the documentary? I think last year. Right?
Yeah.
You see Ishan Kishan, how he's a really immature kid, and he get to like really getting responsible for wicket keeping. I'm really surprised not seeing him as well in the team. But we know Surya Yadav is there. Surya Kumar.
They've again gone ahead with Saurabh Tiwari because they must have seen that how he's performing better at the moment. He's scoring more runs. He's more consistent. That's why he's getting more game time, and he's proved his worth in both the games so far. So they will be like-to-like replacements. Both Ishan Kishan and Saurabh Tiwari will be batting at the same order, same number. They come at 4, and they are both left-handed batsmen. So if Saurabh Tiwari fails, similarly, like if de Kock fails, there will be a replacement in form of Chris Lynn. If Saurabh Tiwari fails, then you will see Ishan Kishan. You won't be seeing too many changing because Mumbai doesn't do that. They are happy with their core, and they have their all-rounders. They have Pollard, Pandya, the Pandya brothers. So they're pretty much in terms of that. The only change that I foresee with Mumbai Indians as the tournament progresses is probably they will not play 2 overseas spacers. They will have Trent Bolt. Yes, they will have Jasprit Bumrah, but they might not have the other extra seamer. They might go for maybe another batsman or maybe a spinner as the tournament progresses. But even if they are doing that and they're winning, I think that's all that matters. So can't say. We'll get to know a lot of interesting games this week. We'll get to know much more as to how the teams are mentally preparing themselves. Right now, even with the teams that haven't been in the top 4, it's very early stages. If they just regroup and concentrate on what the basics are, you will see the competition getting intense by the game, and you will see that there are more close matches and the points table will keep fluctuating. That's what I feel, at least for the next couple of weeks. Only around the 5th, 6th week we'll start getting to know who the top 4 will be or who the top 4 are.
So what is the game you're looking out for the most this week? What's the game you're most excited for this week?
Today's game has to be today's game. There is Mumbai, Bangalore, there is Rohit Sharma, there is Virat Kohli. There are a lot of issues that are talked about when these two teams play in the IPL. Virat Kohli's captaincy, Rohit Sharma should be the captain. A lot of questions are thrown in the air when these two teams meet against each other. Virat Kohli as a batsman, Rohit Sharma. The comparisons will always be there. Obviously, both are very different to each other in terms of their batting or their captaincy style. But Rohit Sharma has been far more successful in terms of being a prominent leader, helping his team win. In terms of IPL, not talking about the Indian team, in terms of IPL. And as a result, he has that advantage because he has those 4 titles to his credit. The Mumbai Indians have 4 titles to their credit, whereas RCB are still hunting for their maiden title. And for RCB, Kohli has been the player who has been there since the start. So no one would be more disappointed than Kohli himself, in the sense that they make it to the finals, but they don't have that title yet or a star to reflect on their jersey. So it will be an interesting competition. Kohli hasn't performed in the first 2 games. A lot of criticism already starting here and there. So he would be eager to go out, perform, get some runs. So I'm hoping that Virat Kohli performs well today and he gets at least few runs to boast about. And I think RCB might beat Mumbai today. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
No drop catches.
Yes, RCB. Let's go.
No drop catches.
And one game I'm looking forward to this week is Kings 11 Punjab versus Mumbai Indians, because I'm gonna be watching it with this guy.
So this is gonna be really interesting.
It's gonna be a good game.
Very interesting. But we have really good head-to-head record at the end of the game. I think we won more against Mumbai than any other team. So I mean, why not? I'm gonna be excited. Of course, I root for them, but again, it's a reality. Mumbai, it's a better team so far.
The reality is when Kolkata play Mumbai, we don't even want to know the outcome. That's the reality. It's like a given fact. Even I think Mumbai and Kolkata, when they step out psychologically, they know these are just 2 points for us. If they lose, then I as a KKR fan get worried. What just happened? That doesn't happen that they lose, because in the last 11 matches they just lost once. But and in overall 26 games they've just lost 6 times. So it's like pretty much every season it's a given. We play against Mumbai, we'll give 4 points. So while other teams compete in the league, play 14 matches, we in our head play 12 matches. We have to win 8 matches out of 12, because 2 matches against Mumbai are like a goner. Like they're not coming back. So Mumbai is a strong unit that way, because even with Chennai, like the battles that they have with Chennai or RCB, they have that connect with each and every team. Either they completely demolish them, that's the connect, or they're very intense fight. And that's why probably they have been the most consistent team, because every team, when they come in front of Mumbai, they know that, we have to beat them. We have to perform better than them. And they set the benchmark, I feel, in the league. If you're able to beat teams like Mumbai, Chennai consistently, that means you're doing something right. And that's why Delhi Capitals and Rajasthan Royals would be very happy right now with the way they have begun. Because to be in the top 2 after the first week, like pip past Chennai, Mumbai, thoroughly beating them, not just like over the margin slightly, but then completely outplaying them. So I think Delhi and Rajasthan, I'm looking forward to their games as well. Not because of the fact that they will be playing against KKR, because that is not this week, but I would want to see as to how consistent they can be. Whether they convert those 2 victories to another 3-4 victories and cement a place for themselves, or there is some twists and turns that are to follow in this week.
Yeah.
I think the doubleheader as well next week. From Saturday and Sunday is going to be the first doubleheader.
Two matches that day, both on Saturday and Sunday. It's
Right.
IPL goodness all weekend.
RCB, RA, and DC and KKR. It's going to be good. I feel like Rajasthan and Bangalore, really tough to say who's going to get it, because again, like Rajasthan performed well, but Bangalore, they might get it to form after all this mix up. So let's see. And DC and KKR, I think Delhi Capital might beat KKR this time on this coming Saturday.
Well, they have been having tense competitions. I think it was the last season. Yeah, it was the last season when a match between Delhi and KKR got tied. Rabada bowled that super over. Russell was bowled. So both these teams have intense battles going on between themselves from the last couple of seasons. Prior to that, it was advantage KKR and Delhi Capitals, not so much. But since the captainship has changed, since the outlook of the team has changed, now the battles have become much more intense. And every team on a give and take and pip the other team. It's just about finding those right combination and whose day it is. Now T20 is something like, one batsman comes, scores a century. I mean, I feel bad for Punjab in the sense that they have the highest wicket takers in the team. They have the highest run scorers in the team. And I think they have seemed to be the most comprehensive unit as of now in comparison to the other teams that I've seen so far. I mean, obviously Punjab and then Delhi. I won't even say Rajasthan, because Rajasthan have been banking on Steve Smith, Sanju Samson, and then their 2 bowlers, Jofra Archer or Tom. So they're like individual performances there that are helping Rajasthan get through. And obviously Tewadia, we can't leave on Tewadia after yesterday's performance. But
I think the ground plays a bigger role, man.
Yeah.
It's not even the team anymore sometimes. You think about it, like it's like each team has good quality players. They could make everything. But the ground makes a bigger difference. That's the biggest difference. Like
the conditions. The conditions are going to be very different, because when you play in the IPL, it's a given that there will be 7 home matches, and the home team would be familiar to those conditions, and there will be 7 away matches. But right now there are only 3 venues. There is Sharjah, there is Abu Dhabi, there is Dubai. So a lot of wear tear will happen with the pitches. A lot of familiarity with the pitches will come into being. Okay. The immediate change that you've seen in IPL last year, teams winning the toss, they want to chase, and they win. However, now in Dubai, teams winning the toss, they're still chasing, but the outcome is that they lost the match. So immediately the mindset has changed. Okay, we have won the toss, we want to bat first. Because the conditions are different, there will be dew in the evening, it gets difficult to score more runs. So teams are trying to adjust and adapt, and that is where I feel that Rajasthan might find it difficult right now in the next couple of games because they've played at Sharjah, small grounds, they have gone hammer and tongs, and it has worked their way. But now when they go to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, they have to readjust, acclimatize again, and perform well. So we'll have to see as to how the other teams also adapt because even for KKR, they have been playing in Abu Dhabi. Now they'll go to Dubai. So this chopping and changing will keep happening. Less travel, but conditions will play an important role until at least 3 weeks of the tournament. After that, you expect teams to perform well on the basis of their skills and not the conditions.
Yeah.
But actually, I have a question. Like, because most of the players are coming from India, subcontinent, right? So, what are the main differences? Because a lot of people doesn't really know about the pitches, like cricket, right? How the pitch plays a really big factor. What are the main difference between the Indian subcontinent pitches and in the Dubai? What are the main differences?
You'll have to look at individually. You'll have to look at grounds. Like if you talk about Mumbai, the reason why Mumbai Indians score 180, 200 all the time is because you get flat decks there. The ball comes onto the bat. There is bounce. There is space. Batsmen enjoy hitting the ball through the line, and you don't have a doubt in your mind as a batsman that the ball might stay low or it might just come in. So you can hit on the shot, hit on the rise, and it's a high scoring pitch. Similarly for Bangalore's Chinnaswamy. Again, small grounds, good batting track, good batting pitches. Eden Gardens, same thing. Smaller ground, good batting track, comes to the bat. Earlier, like when KKR won the 2 titles in 2012, 2014, the reason why they won was because the Kolkata pitches were slow, turning, and they had a lot of spinners in their ranks. So now in Dubai, when you're playing this tournament, it would assist spinners as the tournament progresses. There are a lot of curators who are working on the pitches, who are trying to keep the pitches hard together where you could get 160, 170, 180 scores. But if you're not playing in Sharjah, I don't see there will be a lot of 200 plus scores. Whereas if you play in Mumbai, there's a possibility. If you play in Bangalore, if you play in Kolkata, if you play in Punjab, Mohali, very good batting tracks. That's what you get, 180, 180 plus. Delhi also has a decent outing, like the ground is good. But conditions would be more like Chennai, where the ball grips, turns, assists the spinners. It's difficult to hit through the line. It's difficult to judge how much turn it's going to be. So that's where you have to be. You have to kind of be aware about the situation and the circumstances. Teams like Mumbai, Hyderabad also has a favorable liking in terms of the conditions. But other teams, where especially Mumbai, Bangalore, they might struggle in the second stage because the ball might not come to the bat. That's the conditions. But these are professional players. They can play pretty much everywhere. It's just that they haven't been in form due to the COVID situation. They haven't got much match practice. That's why I said for the first 2 to 3 weeks, I would probably take that time in terms of adjusting, acclimatizing, playing on all different venues. There are only 3 venues. So within 2 weeks, you will play at all the venues. You'll understand what's your playing 11 for which venue, what combinations do you want to use. So it's all about combinations right now and about who actually goes on and delivers those skills. Yeah. But good start for Rajasthan Royals nevertheless because their pitches are somewhat similar to what you would get in pitches here in Dubai is somewhat similar to what you'll get in Jaipur. So they will be familiar to it. Not Sharjah. Sharjah is a very small ground. But Abu Dhabi and Dubai would probably suit Rajasthan Royals, I would say. And Chennai Super Kings to some extent in the second half of the tournament. Right now, it's still a decent batting track, decent pitch to score about 165, 170. That's the power score. 165, 170 batting first, it will be a psychological advantage. Whereas in the Indian conditions, the score goes up to 175, 185. So it's that 10-15 run margin because of which you will see a lot of intense games. Because as the tournament progresses, there will be games where 140, 150 will be defended. Like batting first, you might think, it's just done and dusted. But because of the turn, because of the invariable bounce, teams might end up defending 140, 150 as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice.
After the first week of the IPL, do you think that Pat Cummins was worth the 15 crore?
No.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The leadership is, IPL over the seasons, over the years has been in such a way that it's not the player who's responsible for this. It's the team who madly bid for that player, and all of a sudden he quote his base price as two crores. He was happy with it. He didn't ask for 15.5 crores. The teams went crazy about him, and they're like, no, you deserve much more. We'll go absolutely hammer and dons for you. It's 15.5 crores. They did the same thing with Yuvraj Singh. 14 crores one season, 16 crores one season. So when you put that price tag on the player, no player wants to go out in the middle and not perform well for his team.
Exactly.
It's more pressure on him to justify that price tag now, but he didn't ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the team management's decision. But that's where I feel that the team management and the team thinking needs to be revised, in the sense that you can't just put 15-16 crores on one player and not think about the 10 players in the team, not build a strong team. I think Rajasthan that way since first auction has been very sensible. They have their buys in place where they won't shell out after a certain limit. But you see teams like Mumbai Indians, RCB, KKR, they don't care. They just completely go out and bid as much as they can. But how Pat Cummins has come back, I'm not saying that he will be performing in the similar way. As a KKR fan, I hope he does in every game. But I think he has justified his presence. Even with that one match performance, 15.5 crores, he did perform well with the ball. But if you look at it, he scored 33 from 12 balls. And that too, he smashed Jasprit Bumrah for 5 sixes in 1 over. Not 5 sixes, but 28 odd runs in 1 over. 4 sixes in 1 over. Yeah. So if you can smash Jasprit Bumrah for 4 sixes, I would take that any day. Especially when we don't have any chance against Mumbai. And the comeback performance with his bowling and fielding has been exceptional. So he's a good worth, valuable player. I would probably have given 15.5 crores. I would have been happy to shell out about 9 or 8 crores. But can't change it. He's justifying it the best way he can. So,
and who do you guys think? And who do you guys think's win streak gonna end first? Rajasthan Royals or Delhi Capitals? I think Delhi Capitals will lose first. Their win streak will end.
I think they haven't been like they're getting there, but like they might.
Well, KKR is playing Rajasthan next on Wednesday, so I think it will be Rajasthan. So KKR can win those 2 points, but we'll have to see. It might as well be that both the teams don't lose either of the games. Both the teams end up winning both their games this week and kind of make that gap wider and cement their places. But this is IPL. You know that it can't be so simple. We can't predict.
Rajasthan Royals is playing against RCB, so I think RCB is going to beat them. But Delhi Capitals, I don't know.
It's too unpredictable. You know, like how we started this before the season started, right? You think who's getting top 4, top 5, bottom 4. The more you watch it, it's like, what is happening? You know, it keeps surprising you. Like, you know, Delhi Capitals winning. Okay, that's fine, right? But just after as a diehard fan of Punjab, like how they destroyed Bangalore to destroy the final. Like, what is happening? I think we see how CSK is not performing well as well. We think like, oh, even though Harbhajan Singh's not there, Suresh Raina is not there, they have Faf Duplessis, they have Watson, they have MS Dhoni, Ravindra Jadeja, and Kedar Jadhav, right? I would expect that like they will be losing. Like it was just really surprising those tournament this first week.
Especially with the fact that they have never failed to make it to the top 4. So
exactly. So you have that hope.
Yeah, of course. To see them in such a situation, you always know that it's not the end of the day or the story. There's a long way to go still. There are about 12 or 11 matches that the teams will be playing. So we have seen Mumbai also be a slow starter in previous tournaments where they haven't won their 4 or 5 games, but all of a sudden on the trot they've gone on to win the next 9 or 10 games and qualified. And in fact even win the tournament. So you can never say at the outright that this team will not make it, or now it's evident until unless the very last game of the league stage is played, especially in the IPL. So we'll have to wait and watch as to how they execute their skills in the second week, and after that there will be more clarity. But I think whatever has happened in the first week is bygones. There will be a lot of teams that probably will be losing now, and the teams that have lost
Yeah, so Punjab's gonna lose. So yeah, all three of our favorite teams are losing right now. so that means our teams might start winning.
To be honest, I would be happy to take the fifth position by the end of the tournament that KKR is right now, because given how they performed in the first game and how they literally made a mess of 140 as well thanks to the captain, I don't think this team is going to go too far. So fifth position is also still better than coming seventh right now, where probably our
I mean, it's a really unique IPL this year. 0 fans in the arena.
I like the sound of the background. I really like the background.
I hate it. It sounds so.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I don't like it.
I hate it. Even after they hit it, it starts going ooh, and I'm like, oh, is that a 4? Oh, never mind. That's just 2 runs.
Whoever's doing it, I feel bad for the guy whoever playing the audio in the background.
This must be a DJ.
The guy who was handling that, it goes to mid-wicket or wherever for a single, and he starts making a cheer.
Exactly. It's very confusing.
Bad for the guy.
Imagine how awesome it would be to cap off this IPL if this unique IPL gets won by someone who's never won the IPL.
That would be interesting. That means
yes.
it would be either Delhi Capitals or RCB or Punjab. So both Delhi Capitals and Punjab performing well. I wouldn't count the 2 losses against Punjab harshly, because on a given day, on a good day, it would have been 2 wins. Especially if it would have gone either way. So they're doing the hard work, they're putting in all their skills to good effect. It's just that the outcome has evaded them so far. But you never know. Wins on the trot, and with the same effect, same skills executed, they will get those points. So it would be interesting to see if we have a new winner this season altogether. Because
yeah, Reno's not a big, we all know.
RCB.
Yeah, it's too many times. Even KKR now.
I'm happy with KKR's 2 titles there.
Just as long as not Mumbai Indians this year.
But you know, at the end we talked about, right? IPL is more like grooming the local players, is more grooming the domestic players. So I feel happy even like we found in the future 1 or 2 Indian players in the team, right?
There is a lot of talent. There is no doubt about that. If you look at the white ball cricket, if you look at the T20 cricket, likes of, like, even if I talk about just KKR, they had been very wise with their bidding 2 years ago when the Under-19 World Cup was, India won that World Cup, yes, under Prithvi Shaw, I think. He was the captain. Yeah. Delhi Capitals took Prithvi Shaw, and KKR managed Shubman Gill, they managed Kamlesh Nagarkoti, they managed Shivam Mavi. Those 3 players that helped India throughout the tournament to win that Under-19 World Cup. So these players, these are the names that you will be seeing in a couple of years being introduced to Indian cricket. In fact, all these players, Prithvi Shaw has already played Test cricket for India. Shubman Gill was in the Test reserves. He didn't get an opportunity, but he's already in the reckoning. And even Nagarkoti got injured, so he didn't get his chances, but he was also in the reckoning. And as the tournament progresses, you will see Ravi Bishnoi, you will see Devdutt Pallikal, players like these coming up performing. Yashasi Jaiswal, he is the youngest of the lot that has impressed immensely in this year's, last year's Under-19 World Cup. India did win the final, but that guy, he is a beautiful time for the ball. Yes, he didn't get his opportunities, he just got 1 game. But I'm looking forward to have him play for Rajasthan. I mean, even if he's playing at 6 down, 7 down, please give him an opportunity. Because when you see youngsters of his age playing in the other teams, you probably would want to be in the other teams so that you get more match practice and more opportunities to do that. So there will be a lot of talent that will be coming from this selection in terms of the batsmen. I'm yet to see pace bowler, a young pace bowler. There is Mahavi Nagarkoti, as I mentioned, but a young pace bowler. In fact, there is Karthik Tyagi, there is Ishan Porel, as you mentioned. But would they get those match opportunities is something I will have to wait and watch, because
they look exciting.
Yeah, because teams would want to groom them, but they wouldn't want to expose them right now, especially if they have a chance to make it, because it's just the beginning of the season. Right now, they want their best combination to play and win those matches rather than experiment much or give some youngster a chance. In fact, Kumble giving Ravi Bishnoi a game from the very first game itself means a lot. That the team management was very clear that they want him in his ranks, and that's why they're using him. And as the tournament progresses, he's already picked up 4 wickets. So
Mhm.
when the pitches will get low, slow, and there will be less bounce, more turn, you'll see that he'll be much more effective because he generates the pace, unlike other spinners right now. I mean, what I've seen from his performances in comparison to Kuldeep Yadav of the under 19, uh, I would rate Ravi Bishnoi higher to that. And there was a period where Kuldeep Yadav was also introduced through KKR. I was discussing with my friends that you will see him very soon in the Indian team. And within a couple of years, he was in the Indian team. And if Bishnoi keeps performing in the same way, you will see another spinner in the form of Ravi Bishnoi playing for India very soon.
It's really good to see Adi Kumble grooming a youth, like as a coach for Punjab. And grooming, I bet he sees something in him as a leg spinner. Because Kumble has been a legend for India. A leg spinner. He's done so much.
Only Indian coach out of the 8 teams that are playing right now. So for him to identify it, for him to groom those players, it means a lot. So it will be interesting to see as to how the campaign unfolds and what he does. But I mean, it's exciting to see youngsters coming up, getting those opportunities, playing again and again and performing. So if Devdutt Pallikal and the likes that we mentioned earlier, if they can do it on a consistent basis, would be very interesting to see as to how the Indian team forms its core for the upcoming World Cup, because that's also going to be a big question in the minds of the selectors, mind of the players and the viewers. There's a World Cup coming next year, T20 World Cup coming next year. Do you want Sanju Samson? Do you want Rishabh Pant? Do you want KL Rahul? Who do you want in terms of your wicketkeeper batsman? Because KL Rahul, I don't think you wouldn't want him in the team. And then all of a sudden you have seen Sanju Samson perform. So is he your number 4 batsman? A lot of questions will be asked, a lot of answers will be found, and a lot of surprises will also be there, because we've seen Ambati Rayudu and players being dropped when they were performing well as well. So it's going to be an interesting tournament. Let's see who can make it through. But yeah, for our teams, I hope Punjab wins, and I hope RCB wins, and I hope KKR wins, since we are not playing each other this week at least.
Yeah, we'll see next week. Maybe Punjab will play KKR.
Man. You never know.
Just go easy on KKR. Not KKR.
We scored 245 against them last season. We didn't go easy on them. KKR scored 245 against them. But no, it's always an intense game with Punjab as well, because obviously there's the Bollywood connect, there is the Preeti Zinta factor, Shah Rukh Khan factor. It always becomes a Veer Zara battle out of nowhere. But that apart from that, the two teams are also like power packed with performers. I mean, Gale is not playing right now. The teams that have actually played against Punjab and have won, they would be happy that Gale hasn't played. Not that he would have made a big difference. Probably he would have cut short Mayank Agarwal's runs, but just the presence of such players is that, it's overwhelming to the opposition when you get to know Gale is playing. If it's his day, you're gone. You're gone.
175, man. 175 all the time.
Yeah.
That guy. Chalo then.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining our live stream. Make sure to join us next week. We'll be joined by Sahil again.
Yeah, and do tell us about which team you support. What would you want us to talk about? Players maybe, or the issues or performances in the previous week or the week coming ahead, the performance to look forward to, or even your fantasy 11, your player picks or dream 11, because we would be happy to help you to get those points and engage in conversations. So that is it from my end. Thanking you guys for taking our time, and hopefully our teams get those 2 points, much needed 2 points.
RCB.
And we'll be back with a review for the next week on Monday. Next Monday.
Next Monday, same time. Be sure to join us all. Thank you guys for joining again, and see you guys next week.
See you guys. See you, Sahil.
Bye.
Bye.